Saints Row, a hyper-realistic gang violence simulator that was so bad it helped kill an entire development studio. We play as a lobotomized Joker living in the city of Santo Eliso. But that's not all. We have a dream. Our dream is to form our own gang, but to do that we'll have to wipe out the two dominant gangs controlling the city, as well as compete with a private militia. In order to succeed, we must learn the fundamentals of unorganized crime by utilizing my psychopathy and extreme impulsivity to cause millions of dollars in damages to public and private infrastructure. So join me as I kill, maim, and humiliate innocent people and convicted criminals on my journey to a six-figure bank account. Here we are, the beautiful bustling metropolis of Santo Eliso. We journeyed cross-country to the city's finest cyberpunk brothel where we see a schizophrenic flash mob dancing in eerie silence. But we're not here for them. We're here to proposition the owner of this fine establishment. Just kidding. I've been lying to you. This is not our character. In fact, I have no idea who this actually is. This is us, an oiled-up quadriplegic completely missing the right half of his brain. Believe it or not, this guy runs a notorious gang known as the Saints. Correction, he no longer runs the Saints. Now, if you're confused, don't worry, I was too. This entire scene was foreshadowing for the end of the game, and will not make sense until the end of this video. In order to make sense of everything, let's go back to the beginning. Before we founded the Saints, we worked for a private military called Marshall. This is a group that owns the world's worst wipeout course, calls the elderly, and a CEO who the game devs forget to add lip syncing to. Fortunately, we managed to land in the 95% who didn't get horrifically maimed during the job interview, and as such, we get to use fancy guns and get paid too as well. Anyway, we arrive at Silver Gulch, and upon reviewing our company's health insurance policy, I realize it doesn't take effect for another 3 months. Hopefully nothing horrific happens to me.
What in the hell is happening?
The objective right now is to find the Nawali. The way we choose to find him is by shooting up a town and committing 8 counts of vehicular manslaughter until we find him drinking in ye old saloon. We tried to get him to put these handcuffs on, to which he replies, "No dude, that's kinky as hell," before trying to impale me with a knife. After chasing him for a bit, we lose him in the saloon, and for some ungodly reason, the pilot of the VTOL in the sky is only flying 2 stories above the ground, and allows this guy to jump from the building and hijack a multi-million-dollar plane. But, not to worry, I have a genius idea. I'll throw a fucking boat anchor 2 stories up and... oh, somehow that actually hooked on. To no one's surprise, this didn't work. Not only did this not work, but the plane lifted the 40-ton APC off the ground and is now flying away with it. But, missing the right side of my brain, I latch onto the side like a parasitic leash and get kidnapped along with it. Fortunately, the APC got caught in a rock and I was able to zipline down the winch, land on the plane, and immediately fall off. Somehow I managed to hang on, do some John Wick shit, and pull myself back up, but once again, this guy was ready for that, and he punched me in my enormous nose. In response to his blatant disrespect, I had a minor crash out and crashed the plane into the 2nd tower. With that, that's the end of my first day on the job. I head back to the locker room and get ready to go home. I put on my pink boots, my Joker makeup, and I'm good to go home for the night. The best part? For our exceptional performance today, I earned a bonus. The boss hands me an envelope, but it's filled with my hopes and dreams. Well, shit. Since this is 2025, me and my 3 roommates are unable to afford our $7,000 a month rent and are forced to rob the nearest homeless shelter. While attempting to flee from the cops, I arrive at the switch car to find it's been ransacked. Now, the people that stripped the car are called the Panteros, and they're one of 2 rival gangs we'll encounter during the game. I'll go into more details as they become relevant. Anyway, I hopped on a dirt bike and made a speedy getaway towards the bridge. Unfortunately, one of my prosthetic legs falls off and gets tangled in the wheels. But just as they're about to send me back to the psych ward, Neenah speeds in, ramps the fucking car, and somehow turns it sideways midair, sticks it to the billboard, and collapses it. Just like that, we drive off like nothing happened. The next day I get a call from my boss telling me to meet her. She tells me to follow a Pantero convoy carrying stolen goods, but not to engage with it. Since I'm literally missing half my brain, I shoot up the convoy and start blowing shit up. After I blow up the final truck, I jump back onto my car and quickly realize we're being chased by a literal fucking monster truck. I don't know how the hell he snuck up on us with a truck like that. I guess it must be electric. Anyway, I shoot the hell out of his engine until we manage to lose him by driving under a rock. But we're not out of the woods yet, as we're about to drive into a sandstorm. While driving through the sandstorm, my driver tells me the car's losing speed from the sand. So, I made the genius choice to leap off the roof of the car onto one of the Panteros' cars. If that wasn't stupid enough, now I have to leapfrog between cars until I'm able to get to the bed of the truck and climb on. This is when my guy makes the decision to hijack the truck by kicking the guy driving it in the fucking head. I'm truly intelligent. As a result of my intelligence, the truck nosedives off a cliff and into a boss arena. Since this guy was doing melee combat, I decided to forego guns, so I whipped out my electric sex stick and made him orgasm to death. Unfortunately, he finished a little early for my taste and—
Oh shit, please God, no, I'm not a bottom, he's trying to dominate me, get off me!
Wait, hang on, quick skill check. Epic. Critical success. Well, shit. I think the dice lined. With the truck successfully stopped, we managed to recover the stolen goods and I secured a promotion. All in a day's work. After work, we had a call from the guy who drove us during our last mission. Turns out his name isn't the driver, but actually JR. Who'd have thought? JR here is trying to open his own garage, but his car parts were stolen by a gang called the Idols. The Idols are shown to somehow be a worse version of Team 10 with a side of anti-capitalism, when in reality their entire gang is just a bunch of homeless Fent demons being turned loose on society. So, in exchange for helping him, he's offering us some percentage of his business. It's never really disclosed, but in order to progress further, we're going to have to infiltrate their gang and find out where they're hiding all the parts. After talking to a few people there, one of them slips up and informs us of their warehouse out back. So, I go take the parts back and, well, the game crashed. Unfortunately, this is just one of many that occurred during my playthrough. Anyway, once we secure the cargo, we have to deliver it to JR, but Kevin calls and says they're coming for us. So before we can complete this mission, we have to take everyone out. Fortunately, I've been unlocking special moves called skills. These essentially allow us to perform certain moves like throwing down a smoke bomb, lobbing grenades, or even stuffing one up someone's ass and fucking yeeting them into a crowd of people. Shockingly, this becomes my favorite move to use. With the people gone, JR falls into a Fent-induced fugue state and constructs an entire building in one fucking night. Though, he started foaming at the mouth like some sort of rabid animal, so I chose to leave and give Atticus a call for my next job. For this job, we're in charge of protecting the Hummingbird Codex, but shit hits the fan real quick when the Panteros ram a truck through the wall and attempt to steal the Codex. So, as always, we run and gun until we reach the dinosaur exhibit. Turns out the Panteros are big fans of dinosaurs, as they're blown away by this exhibit. Just kidding, it's the Idols again. Believe it or not, they're also here for the Codex. I have no clue as to why this book is so important. The game makes zero effort to explain its importance or really what it even is. The wiki even just lists it as an important relic that all the gangs want to get their hands on. But I digress. Once we shoot up the dinosaur exhibit well enough, we have to escort the Codex to a safe room so no one can get to it. But of course, this doesn't go to plan and the Idols shoot the glass floor out from underneath me, leaving the Codex unguarded and exposed. Now, we have to get back upstairs. Unfortunately, the door we have to get through is barred off, so we have to do a little tactical improvisation. But we have a new issue now. Gwen informed me that Myra's star is unaccounted for. Fortunately though, we quickly find her after shooting down a door with a minigun. But it seems the Panteros also found her, so with our newly acquired minigun with infinite ammo, all we have to do is shoot up the room and aim at anything that moves. Despite the room being cleared, we're not done yet. We return to Atticus and he's not happy. The Idols replaced the Codex with a fake, and now this 70-year-old man is throwing a hissy fit because we chose to save Myra's star over his funny little book. As a result, he hurls a 30-pound book at my malformed head and fires me. I wake up the following morning and choose to mope in bed. Kevin tells me that him and Eli are heading to an Idols party, but I'm too depressed to acknowledge him. Eventually, I'm forced to climb out of bed and head to the kitchen where I attempt to use the toaster. But the toaster spits my frozen waffle onto the ground. So, instead, I choose to become one with the couch and just watch TV since my life is a waste. After spending the next 2 hours watching a single infomercial on knives, I made the impulsive decision to order 3,000 knives. I'm now $600,000 in the hole and in crippling financial ruin. After another hour of lazing on the couch, Neenah mentions the Panteros are planning to attack the Idols party. And since I'm missing 65% of my brain, it takes me 10 minutes to realize that my friends are there. While we struggle to rush out of the house, the party's getting shot up like an American school, and Eli gets hit trying to dive over the bar. Arriving at the party, a full-on gang war is taking place and we have to fight our way to the bar to rescue our friends. That's when one of the leaders of the Idols rolls up and tries to force Kevin to kill us. I suppose now is a good time to clarify that Kevin is part of the Idols gang and Neenah is part of the Panteros. This is a pretty important piece of context I glossed over earlier, but it wasn't super relevant until now. Anyway, let's continue. Of course, Kevin says hell no, tries to assassinate Daft Punk, but the bullet ricochets off the helmet and it's now time for a pseudo-boss fight. The way this game treats boss fights for the Idols is, well, they don't. They can't really be classified as a boss fight. It's essentially spawning in a guy with a bit more health and armor, and as such, I lob a grenade-filled guy at him and boom. That's the boss defeated. Unfortunately, this leaves us in a predicament. All three factions are pissed at us now and our quartet has zero money flowing in. So, we choose to equip a rocket launcher and commit several acts of domestic terrorism until we can get home and patch Eli up. While we're doing that, I have a stroke of genius and posit that we start our own criminal empire. Unfortunately, Eli is a little apprehensive, so in order to convince him, I say this incredible line.
Snickerdoodle is definitely down.
Oh, do not bring her into this.
Eli, this cat suffers no fools, and neither should you.
What does that even mean? With the boys down, we can lay out our 3-step guide to fame and fortune. We need a name, a logo, and somewhere that isn't charging us $3,000 a month. Neenah manages to find a condemned church we can use as a home base. We arrive at the church only to find there's a demolition crew about to tear it down, so, like any rational person, we give up and hope to find someplace better. Just kidding, I hijacked a front-end loader and absolutely decimated their job site. Unfortunately, this place is being guarded by marshals, so we had to take them down as well. With the guards down, we gave a call to the guy that owns the property, John Bland. Fortunately, Kevin just happened to know exactly where he was, and we took his car for a joyride with him inside it. After driving like a lobotomy victim, he decides to forego his entire property portfolio in exchange for his life. Arriving back at the church, we realize that we now own this property but do not own the keys for it. So, like any good friend group does, they force the quadruple amputee to scale the building and unlock the door from the inside. While we're inside, the idols decide to throw us a housewarming party. But how did they know we were here? Well, you see, shortly before we arrived back home, Kevin decided to essentially post our address on his Instagram page. Believe it or not, it turns out a violent group of Jake Paulers caught wind of this and chose to let them know. So, of course, the second I open the doors, they're here. Given that this is America, it's our God-given right to defend our property, so I whip out my stupid little finger and I get to work. After putting those guys to sleep, we find a logo built into the floor, which we promptly steal. Then this strange angelic choir starts to play, and I think of the perfect name, the Saints. As if that wasn't obvious enough, it's literally in the title. Anyway, the following mission is pointless, so allow me to sum it up. Kevin wants stuff to spruce the place up. They call these collectibles, and these are things that you can put on these strange little pedestals around the base. The entirety of this mission is to go and get a cannon to place on one. And that's it. That's the whole mission. No guns, no violence, and no fun. The next step for our empire is to establish connections, and that means going to speak with JR to see if he wants in. JR says the Panteros are eating into his profits and that he'll consider joining if we can take care of him. So I rolled up to a public park and began shooting it up. Once everyone there succumbed to the rare disease known as severe lead poisoning, JR asks us to disrupt their supply of stolen parts. So we rock up to this warehouse, steal a car, and proceed to ruin their entire operation. But they really didn't like that, and they made a final run at JR's shop. And with JR successfully recruited, we return to the church for Eli to explain to us that we have empty lots all over town thanks to that briefcase we stole. This table allows us to set up ventures and earn a passive income. This is something that I attempt to utilize later on. Anyway, I get a call from Neenah, who proceeds to blow my eardrum out by screaming in such a high frequency the windows around me explode. Now, the reason she's screaming is because the Panteros rolled up and yoinked her car, although in person she really doesn't seem too bothered by it yet. Once we start the mission, she suspects Sergio took her car to a culvert to race it around. Once we arrive, we take everyone out and realize the car isn't here, so our next move is to check in on the chop shop. But the guy there won't talk. We tried gun violence, but apparently fucking up their cars is somehow worse than being killed, so of course, I horribly misunderstand what the objective is here and I begin lobbing grenades at the car. Since the game never specified I was supposed to get into it and use the customization menu, I don't know why, but that really peeved me while I was playing. Anyway, I digress. He eventually squeals and reveals the location of the cars at the quarry, which means... well, bye-bye car. As a result of this, she gets all depressed and starts trauma dumping, and since I'm a good friend, I quickly get the hell out of there. On my way home, I call to see what Kevin's up to. He's chilling at the gym doing leg days, so I invite him to binge watch a show with me. But of course, he stands me up. Why, you may ask? Because he got fucking kidnapped last night. The following morning, we tracked his phone to some saloon where we promptly start a bar fight and win. So I go outside and find some more idols, but I hear one in this porta potty. Eventually, we get him to talk, and he says they're on top of the big sign in the hills. Arriving at the sign, they've set up bombs as some kind of terroristic firework. I make my way up the sign, disarming all the bombs along the way until I reach Kevin. From there, we pull some Just Cause type shit and wingsuit off the sign right into their mansion. Right when we land, we whip out our guns and say, "Remember, no rush," and indiscriminately open fire into every crowd we find until we find another pseudo-boss. After taking down the boss, Neenah calls us with a plan to take revenge on the Panteros. How, you may ask? Oh, nothing major, just breaking into their headquarters. But of course I agree, since I lost my sense of self-preservation after either the first or second bomb blew up in the intro. There's no way to know for sure, but the plan is simple. Steal a military-grade assault chopper from a tourist attraction and infiltrate the Panteros' base. Acquiring the helicopter is worryingly easy. They seem to have left the keys in it with the meekest dude guarding it. Step 2 was to essentially raise the base to the ground using a helicopter, then land on the roof and get inside to finish destroying their operation. And once we're inside, it's essentially the same thing, just without the chopper. Blow shit up, kill everyone. Until the final car, which happens to be Sergio's monster truck. This part is a run and gun type thing where people keep coming at you and you gotta run around pressing buttons to load bombs into the car. It's one of those things that felt really engaging in the moment, but was extremely boring to rewatch. Unfortunately, this becomes a very common theme for this game. Once the sequence is complete and the bombs are loaded, Neenah does some unnecessary Spider-Man shit to which both me and my character had the same reaction. What the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing, Neenah?
Exactly, what the fuck? After that cutscene, you just wait. You kill people and wait for 2 minutes, then ramp out of the building with a car. Once we arrive back at the church, Eli shows us his 14-step plan for success, to which I replied, "That's a lot of words. Too bad I ain't reading them." And went on a suicide mission to a private island where murder is legalized and televised online. The idea behind this is to massacre the island, go viral to criminals and psychopaths alike, and recruit lots of people. As soon as I finish mowing down a crowd of furries, Eli's phone rings off the hook with new recruits. Unfortunately, the only new hires we could manage were former Discord moderators. Reality starts to set in when we realize, oh damn, we just hired a bunch of psychos willing to kill indiscriminately and we have nothing to pay them. To solve this issue, allow me to allow you to pick from a list of 4 choices to answer the question, how will we pay our employees? Is it A, hope they don't notice, B, keep doing basic crimes, C, rob a train, or D, kill us? If you pick C, congrats, you got it right. But if you didn't pick C... Yes, we're robbing a train. We decide we're going to need some help to pull this off, so who better than the guy from the intro sequence, the Nawali? Only issue is, he's in a private prison called the Frontier, and we put him there at the start. Hopefully he cooperates. Anyway, let's make a plan. And they're already going for it. Hopefully no one notices the fucking helicopter flying in front of the guard towers. This mission tries to be a stealth mission, and this makes it incredibly slow. So let me sum up again. This mission is literally, don't let people see you for too long, and walk in a straight line. Very enthralling. Once we reach our target, we ask him if he wants to be broken out. Keep in mind this is well within earshot of the armed guards to our sides. So we head up to the control room and fuck, I've been recognized. Now with the system on lockdown, we have to shoot the servers to release our target. Funny enough, they're down there screaming that he escaped, but if you look close enough, you can clearly see that he hasn't. From here, the next part is another run and gun segment until we reach this truck here, where we ramp out of the prison, back into the prison, and finally back out again. Just like that, we did it. We successfully broke a wanted man out of prison. After a quick pit stop at McDonald's, we're called to a company meeting and we have to pick up the donuts. You'll never guess what riveting gameplay we get to do here. Wait in fucking line. Thankfully, we only have to wait here for a minute before someone recognizes me, and soon after, everyone within a 10-mile radius wants to kill me. What is going on here? It turns out, someone put me on the wanted app, and the price is high enough that everyone is coming for me. Fortunately, Kevin shows up and he has a plan. Kevin knows the guys that made the app and we're going to ask them to take me off. Unfortunately, they don't want to be helpful, so I threw them on the app, and well, it worked. They seem pretty eager to help me out now. We just gotta buy them some time to take us all off. And once they do, everyone backs off. And to add a cherry on top, we got the app from them as well. Sadly, we ended up missing the team meeting and had to reschedule. So the following day, we invited the Nawali over to meet the crew. This is where it's revealed that we're not doing anything of value during this mission. We're doing team building. What they mean by this is, we go and spray paint a wall, attempt to do karaoke, but Marshall trashes the bar we're at. They even bring these hover bikes, which we'll actually take for the heist. We tried to take it for a test drive at a nearby lake, but unfortunately the idols are also fond of this spot. Once we take them down, then Marshall shows up again and we have to take them down while we try to make a getaway. Then Nawali tells us about his secret base and we decide to head for that. But on the way there, the Panteros show up as well. Once we're near the base, they stop coming for a little while until we go inside to arm up. Then we're assaulted by all 3 groups at once, and somehow we end up surviving the onslaught and we head back home for a nice meal. At the end of the day, we try to convince the Nawali to stick with us after the train is said and done, but the answer is inconclusive. Regardless of his answer though, it's time to get down to business. Let's rob a train. The plan is simple. Get on the train, kill everyone, and leave with the money. Believe it or not, I didn't even sum that up. That is the entire plan the game lays out for us. But before we set off, I give the Nawali a knife as a souvenir. Man, I sure hope this won't have any consequences later. I digress. Hopping aboard the train, we take out some guards and are greeted by a turret. In my infinite wisdom, I chose to hide behind a tank full of flammable liquid. Getting past the turret, they chose to decouple the train in hopes of losing us, but I get picked up, and that's when the Panteros showed up again. Despite us exploding their base, they still went through with the heist. Regardless, I pushed forward, clearing the train and their trucks, until out of nowhere, Sergio jumped from a helicopter, landing on the train with us. I guess it's finally time for a real boss battle. Well, I guess that settles it. That's a bit of an anticlimax considering he was set up as a major villain. I guess they couldn't afford much screen time for him. The remainder of the mission is exactly the same apart from the end. We hop into a tank and raise a little hell. Oh fuck. Maybe we overdid it just a little bit. Rummaging through the wreckage, we managed to find our money. And what better way to celebrate than to throw stacks of 10 grand at each other? All that's left now is to build a name for ourselves. So we decide to steal the Hummingbird Codex. If by this point you forgot what this is, I don't blame you. This is the funny little book that was stolen at the start of the game, and the plan now is to take it from the idols. The idols are keeping their bits and bobs in a warehouse under the boat shop. So, equipped with my 9-round double-barrel shotgun, I clear out most of the idols inside and make a break for the vault. Once inside, it's revealed the book is another fake, and they proceed to lock us in with a bomb. But I use my hyper-intelligence to disarm that shit, forcing them to open the door. In all honesty, they could have just kept it shut and boom, that would have been the end for us. Instead, they actually opened it expecting to take us out. Fortunately, we have armor stronger than Kevlar. Plot armor. So once again we shoot our way out and Kevin realizes that they probably have it on their yacht. So I crash my speedboat into their yacht and proceed to kill everyone on board and grab the codex. They even tried to booby trap it again, but of course it didn't work. Kevin decides we should rig the ship to blow and we plant the bomb in the cabin. Unfortunately, there's a suspicious cutscene that plays before the helicopter even lands and, well, who could have possibly seen this coming? So we take down the last few idol leaders and our bomb goes off, leaving us stranded on a ship that's quickly burning down. So we leg it to the other end where there's a boat stashed, and while we make a getaway, I'm granted unlimited ammo and I spray and pray all the way back home. Where we're greeted by a cutscene that's probably supposed to be serious, but since my guy was dropped down 170 flights of stairs paired with a dictator-esque speech where he's just lip-syncing with the fucking teleprompter at the end, this cutscene was very hard to take seriously. Since we obtained our funny little book, the gang decides it's a good idea to throw a party. Once all the supplies are gathered, Chet Drummond, professional gay cowboy, strolls up and spouts some legal bullshit. Since this shit makes no sense, I ask him to say it into my handheld translation device. As a result of this, we declare war on Marshall and rally everyone to their HQ. So we invade their home base and kill our way up to Atticus's office. Once we reach the office, to no one's surprise, he fled the second we pulled up. But he once again left Myra Starr for dead. So we formulate a plan with her. The plan was now to tank Marshall's stock price so bad that the board would be forced to fire him and name Myra as the new CEO. In return, she'll return our seized assets and we can part ways. Heading to the Marshall Expo, they have a shiny new AI-powered tank on display. Our task is to override it and cause untold destruction to the city, thus plummeting the stock and getting him kicked out. This mission is extremely straightforward and simple, so I won't waste time talking about it. After we cause millions of dollars in damages to public infrastructure, he's called into the meeting and Myra allows us to either shoot him or fire him. I chose to fire him as it seemed it would cause him the most amount of pain possible. Now Budget J. Jonah Jameson will have no choice but to cry into his multi-million-dollar stacks of cash. With him gone, the gang is back in our possession and we can resume with the party. Now, up to this point, I've largely left out the various ventures we can do. Unfortunately, a few hours ago I set up almost all of them, now I have almost none left to set up. The problem is, the party is the end game, and the end requires us to set up 3 more ventures before we can proceed. Fortunately, I had 1 left, which leaves us to get 2 more. To get these, you not only need a bunch of cash, but you also have to do side quests. One of these is another basic ass shoot the hell out of everything type deal. You know the drill by now. It does share the same principle of just shooting everyone, but it executes it a bit differently. The other one, however, is quite unique, and as such, I'm gonna show you. We meet up with Eli, who's dressed like someone at a Mad Max, and he's modified his car with cardboard? He mentions he's participating in a dust moot, which is a role-playing type thing. He needs help joining a group and recruits us to tag along. But before we do anything, he wants to dress me up as well, mainly to cover up my botched lobotomy head. So we raid the dumpster behind the local department store for extra cardboard and boom, I look retarded as hell. We roll up to House Tapeworm and tell them we're going to torch their tower. They don't take this lightly, and so begins the strangest sequence of events in this game, an imaginary fight. We move on to House Duststorm's place and we tear it down, searching for a stash of duct tape since they somehow sold out the entire city's supply of it. Once we reach the top and recover the duct tape, we can now assemble our own fort. With everything completed, we can lay the final building down and begin the last mission. We're chilling outside our base when the Nawali shows up and seems pretty keen on joining, until he whips out the shank, stabs me like it's the prison showers, caves in the last bit of my brain, and buries me alive. This next sequence is quite hard to explain, but it's pretty much like a dreamscape type deal because there's a bunch of funky shit going on. After walking for a while, I stumble on a board game where I'm suddenly sucked into it. Here we talk to giant wooden doll versions of our friends and each one sends us to do a simple task that I won't get into here. Suddenly, everything turns a bit red and we're prompted to enter the barn. Here we're in a version of hell, I guess, where our friends are degrading us and we're shooting fake people. Eventually we make it to the door where the Nawali shows up and pulls this time stop move on us and we're just sort of trapped. before being released. We see the weird dream realm thing vanishing before our eyes as we frantically try to break the door down. And once we do, we wake up like a fucking zombie and clamber inside where we find the entire gang dead apart from the main three. We open the door and we're greeted by a strange cutscene. The Nawali is forcing our friends to act in his own sitcom. Arguably, a worse fate than death. Needless to say, we can't leave them like that. But before we head out, I decided to equip my final bit of gear. Double-sided boots, cactus underwear, a sports bra, and the best of all, cat ears. Now, we're truly ready. We roll up to Silver Ghost and are immediately surrounded by his goons. So I pop one in the face and now the fight is on. As I fight my way into the saloon, the minigun I dropped at the start of the game is still here and still functional. So of course I start spraying and praying until there's only one guy left. Shockingly, bro really said he will put the Nawali's address in my phone. So I decide to offer him a job with the Saints just before I knock his teeth in. Sorry buddy, we don't have dental benefits unfortunately. Since the remaining portions of my brain have been damaged, I decided it's a good idea to take the crashed plane out for a joyride. And once we arrive at the secret base, we absolutely massacre everyone inside before I jump off a balcony and tackle the Nawali to the ground. While freeing my friends, my guy starts making weird ass sounds for no reason, until I realize that he was foreshadowing himself being tackled by the Nawali. Once he gets up, he gets domed with a fucking waffle maker and smacks the shit out of Chris before smoke bombing his way out. Now, we just gotta chase him. Where the fuck did he get a chopper from? Fortunately, I shot one rocket and hit the most critical part of the helicopter, causing him to bail onto the roof. Now, it's time to finish this. Wild West style. Well, looks like we both missed somehow. Oh well, he's succumbing to the massive amounts of internal bleeding anyway. But, just to be safe. Well, that does it. We've successfully established our own gang. As for the future of this city, leaving it in the hands of a lobotomy victim seems a little irresponsible. But it's out of my hands now. I've subjected myself to enough psychological torture for one day. Until we meet again.
You only make you feel like you could never leave. Do the same, we can't go back. This is all we need. Follow me to make believe.